First of all, thank you so much, Rishi and Marcus, and to the entire GI Group team. I'm honored to be here, and it's a great opportunity to share some of my insights. I currently head up corporate HR for Metro Cash and Carry, and this is just to give you a perspective. Some of you, I understand, may have shopped from there, but we're a B2B wholesale brick and mortar retailer that has been around in the country for close to about 19 years, right? Having come from that kind of background, and if you were to look at how the landscape has changed in the last year and a half, especially due to COVID, there has been a paradigm shift in the way some of the companies had to engage with their employees, right? And they're thinking about new models in which they can go ahead and do that. And that's where you will hear some perspective around flexibility, hybrid working environments. But I'll have to say that with Metro Cash and Carry, this journey wasn't easy. It was particularly hard, especially in the first few months of COVID, because we are a traditional organization into wholesale, and we primarily service the kiranas, which form about 55% of our target group. Horeca, which is your hotels, restaurants, caterers, and your small office institutional players, those form the remaining 45%, right? And those have also been severely impacted as a result of the pandemic. But if I were to just take a page off what Alok mentioned, or even what Bhumika mentioned, because of this arduous journey, we've also had a lot of learnings through this process. And this learnings has enabled us to understand the environment better and to cater to this hybrid workforce, which has very different demands, very different expectations. As a matter of fact, even our communication strategy on looking at engagement has to have been developed very, very differently. And as a result of that, some of our employees have also learned to be more adaptable and learn to be more agile. If I were to look at even some of our learning offerings that we have for our employees, those have also had to be customized to cater to this new environment. We'd had to upgrade some of our current technology platforms. So what worked in the yesteryears was no more relevant now, because you're looking at off-role, on-role employees who are based in different locations across our stores, because we are categorized as essential services, as well as sitting in their home locations or in their hometowns. And so as a result of that, the technology platforms had to have been upgraded. So you're talking about your HR management systems, your learning management systems that had to be catered to an in-office environment, because now that lockdowns and flexibility has increased, and that environment has changed in the last year and a half, to even remote workers, or even say, for instance, the business people, so that there is more meaningful interactions and there's better engagement, right? So some of these are learnings, and no doubt there were challenges, but at the same time, I'll just spend a couple of minutes and make it really real for some of our audience out there who's listening into this discussion as to what are some of the examples that I can share with you that we've been able to do fairly successfully. So when you look at virtual engagement, right, and mentioning what Alok had also looked at, so festival celebrations, some things just are table stakes. You can't change that ecosystem, right? People are looking for engagement, and if engagement can't happen physically, then how is it that you're going to make a festival celebration? Competitions, how do you ensure that there's that level of engagement with people? And there's also a true amount of focus put in for, say, for instance, health and wellness, right? So there were several webinars that we had organized for 3 months last year and a couple of months this year, which were back to back, catering to both educational, informative, as well as what is important to really sustain in this kind of environment. So if you have to look at wellness, then yes, mind, body, overall wellness is something that we were catering to. Now, even when we looked at our communication strategy, we looked at how to really bring to life some of our town halls, right? Now, the town halls is an ideal opportunity for people to really assemble and gather together to know what are the updates for the company. Do they only want to hear updates? They're sitting behind a laptop. And so how do you really engage that person for that period of time? And so we looked at that as an opportunity that, yes, let's make our town halls also truly engaging and recognize some of our metro heroes, right? People who've gone over and beyond, especially in the pandemic, to really service our customers, to really help each other, bring on a sense of empathy. Even say, for instance, when I talked about learning offerings, so our assessment centers, our development centers, or even say, for instance, our entire recruitment, onboarding, induction, all of that had to be revamped. And we've looked at models which were sustainable for the foreseeable future, for the next 1 to 2 years, right? So uh, looking at our current geographies, looking at our current constraints, we've been able to bring on technologies that will work well in our kind of retail environment to really bring this to life. The last part of it I also want to focus on is to say that if I were to look at really improving or enhancing the entire the performance of employees, right? We want to drive a high impact performance environment because these are challenging times. And so at every point in time when you're looking at an employee really doing over and beyond, are you able to recognize them, but are you also able to evaluate them, right? So we launched something called Empower, very similar to what Bhumika said. The offering is slightly different, which was to really look at evaluation of our employees and say that they are high impact employees because they're delivering in a very challenging environment, right? Are they really enabled with the right manager capability development modules? Are they giving the right kind of feedback? Is it possible in a virtual medium? Is 360-degree feedback also possible in this kind of environment? All of that was brought in a very nicely customized suite. And I'll have to say some of the efforts that we've done in the last year and a half have worked to our benefit. So our engagement scores, we've got a quarterly engagement survey that is run. So our engagement scores have been in the high 80s, and we've never seen scores like this in the past so many years. So obviously, whatever we're doing is working to the benefit of the employees and in a very holistic environment. So I have to say that most recently, I think Great Place to Work announced their top 100 companies, and we figured from a rank 56 to a rank 23. So obviously, whatever we're doing, it has gone through some bit of ordeal in terms of a learning mechanism, but that has worked well for us. And we're fairly proud about where we have stood through this very, very arduous times, right? The rules of engagement, the rules of the offering had to change, but regardless of a physical environment, work has to get done and there has to be collaboration. So yes, to answer your question, Rishi, challenges have been there, but if you have employees working together in a collaborative effort, then yes, there is quite a bit of success that we have personally seen.
Thank you very much, Payal, and I'm sure it would have been more